you encountered that has been hurt?
I've encountered a mouse in a printer twice. I have encountered scorpions. I reached in one time and got bit by a spider. I was working at a Harley dealership where we had computers in the service department. And one cold winter morning, the mechanic went to turn on the tech computer, and he said smoke came out of it, and it crackled, and it sizzled, and the screen died. I opened it up, and there was a snake coiled around the power fan. And it chopped it up, and it short-circuited on top of the motherboard and fried the computer. Well, we figured what happened was the shop is always open. You've got the doors open. The snake came in to get out of the cold. And what is a computer at night? It's a nice, warm nest. Got into the computer. My worst case scenario, I would never do this again, but I did it because I was stupid. I was asked to help with the cabling, and what we were going to do was we were going to cable a whole house for television and Ethernet and telephone. And we had a bare shell to work from. Roof was up and the tar paper was down, but we needed to get in there before they finished all the drywall and electrical and run all the boxes and all the cabling. And I went up into the attic to bring in the incoming line for the DirecTV internet connection because they were going to have satellite internet. And I put my face in a wasp nest. Okay? Yeah, was not fun. Thank God it was the little ones. But how they got in, I mean, they must have built that nest in a matter of a week.
Have you, do you carry the anti-static bags, the ones that you can put parts in?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I carry those. I also carry a anti-static wand. Okay. Reason I carry an anti-static wand, I was in a situation where we had a wall bank that was hot, and I knew I had a leaking electrical connection somewhere on the wall bank, because every time you touch the metal framework you could feel that tingle. And I used the anti-static wand to, basically what it does is it picks up electricity and it lights up, and the stronger the light, the stronger the electrical source or static discharge. And basically when I finally figured out where I had that strongest light, I was able to say, okay guys, let's turn the power off and find out what's going on behind the wall in the electrical. Okay, so really what it does is it picks up static and or electrical discharge of any type. But it's a wand that I ordered off of Amazon.com a long time ago.
How do you determine a fried board?
Computer was brought to me, you press the power button blinks 3 or 4 times and nothing happens. Nothing kicks on the monitor. You don't even get BIOS. Occasionally it would post. They would rather sell you a $30 power supply than what it costs to take and solder in and out a capacitor at the risk, insurance-wise and workman's comp-wise, of not getting electrocuted. Bottom line is it's cheaper to replace a power supply in today's market than to try and diagnose and replace that part. It's a cost factor, and it's a time factor. Your average cost of a repair to replace a power supply, for me, parts and labor, is anywhere between $50 and $80, based on wattage of the power supply. I mean, I can sell you a power supply today for $24.99 at 200 watts. Okay? Yeah. My labor is $30. Yeah. Okay? You, what?
An hour or
just a flat charge. Takes me about 15 minutes to do a power supply. Okay? This is one area, pardon my French, I do not like to burn a customer. I know my boss will say, why aren't you charging $40? That's our normal 1-hour charge. I said, doesn't take me 1 hour. It takes me a half an hour or less. I give them a half an hour rate. How many of these am I doing since I came here? And how many were you doing before I came here? And he got the point. I'm selling power supplies where he hadn't sold a power supply in a year and a half, and I sold 4 in 1 month. Because You tell the customer it's going to cost them $100, they'll look over there and they'll say, forget it, and I'll buy a new computer. You tell them it's going to be $50 or $80, depending on the computer, they're going to say, hey, that's not a bad price. So there's a price point that you as a tech have to have in the back of your head that a client sees as, do I repair or do I replace? Now, I did this for 12 years in the auto industry, working as both a mechanic and as a service writer and service manager. You have to look at your customer and you have to look at that vehicle and realize there is a price point beyond which most customers are not going to give you the authorization to repair the car. They'd rather trade it in and get another car.
You found that
I have found that if
floppy disks do tend to deteriorate?
I have found that the old 5 1/4s do deteriorate much more quickly. Okay, simply because there's really nothing protecting this. Now, this has been kept in a cool, dry, low humidity environment all its life with moisture proofing. I'd be glad to pass it around. As far as I can tell, except for a fingerprint right there, which got to be my fingerprint, this disc is still in perfect shape. And the last time I used it about 2 years ago, it was still readable.
But that's
Okay.
an exception to the rule.
It's an exception to the rule, but that's because I knew to keep it, to protect it. 3 1/2s are inherently more protected because of the hard plastic case and the shutter. That's a 22-year-old disc. The date on the box is 1989. So I know it was made probably a little earlier than that. I'll pass it around. It still works. It's still in good shape. It's how you keep your discs. The worst enemy of these optical discs is scratching. These are indestructible, unless you do like I did one day and I threw it on the seat that at the desk I was working under, and I got out of the seat and sat down and sat on it and split it in half, crushed it. But it was no big deal. You know, I could make another of that repair disc. I just don't see any issue with this. I have had multiple complaints of erased flash drives. Don't put it anywhere near a magnet. You will erase it in less than a second around any kind of magnet. Well, I did the same thing to this one. And to give you an example of technology, this is the original first SanDisk Cruiser. They were two 50 megabyte, 500 megabyte, 1 gigabyte. Anyone want to guess what I paid for a 1 gigabyte stick when they first came out? This one was $59.99. They were about 60 bucks. And I can sell you today an 8 gig stick for $6. But I made the mistake. I was working out in the shop, and I had kind of mixed job. I was working. My hobby is restoring an old British sports car, and I was putting in a stereo system that day, and I had the speakers up on the bench because I was installing the head unit in the car and laying the wiring back to the back panel. When I got a call from a customer, could he bring his computer by for me to check it out? And I said sure, and without thinking, I set this up on the desk next to the speaker and erased it because I couldn't find it. When I turned the speaker over, there it's set. So those, I believe, are inherently more dangerous than an optical disc.